What is up, guys? Welcome back to DC Extra. My name is Chris, and today we're going to be breaking down episode 5 of Naomi. So as with the previous episodes, this one starts off with a recap of the previous 4, and if you haven't watched any of them, make sure you do, or you could always go and watch my previous breakdowns. So this episode starts off with a flashback to Naomi and Nathan on a date. The flashback took place about 7 months ago, and it shows their history and how they had a relationship in the past but it didn't go so well, which then goes on to set things up further on in this episode. But then we've come back to present time and we see Naomi meditating with Dee, and she has flashbacks of the events from the previous episodes with the bounty hunter. She also mentions that she's having dreams of the bounty hunter, and this could be some sort of PTSD showing up, basically that her fear is just getting the best of her. Then going back to school, Naomi and her friends are going camping for the weekend as a part of their school. When they get to the campsite, they have an induction sort of thing, and of course, as is a custom with every campsite, there is always a horror story. In this horror story, there is a guy named Moonshine Jimmy, but more on him later. We see a scene where Greg and Jennifer McDuffie, who are Naomi's parents, meet with Commander Steele. Commander Steele shows them an artifact with markings, resembling those of the ones we've seen in previous episodes that are tied with Naomi's origins, and possibly the earth in which she came from. The way they got these markings is by discovering the stone that Naomi was found on when she was a baby, and rightfully so, Naomi's parents seem quite worried about this. We also learn that Nathan is quite worried that Naomi is going to dump him again after what happened those 7 months ago. But during a conversation where they talk about this, they get interrupted by Anthony, who claims he saw Moonshine Jimmy, who is the person from the horror story from earlier. The morning after that, he says that he saw trees and rocks glowing blue, which made him feel dizzy, and I'm thinking that this has some sort of ties to Earth 29, although we don't know this as of yet, but hopefully we'll get to see in future episodes. The counselors at the campsite believe that an ex-employee had a similar experience of this, and Naomi and her friends get the info from these counselors. Dee heads over to Zumbado's dealership, where it is revealed that they have some sort of deal, the details of which aren't really mentioned too much, but regardless, they do team up to stop the bounty hunter from the previous episode. Naomi and her friends go into a cabin in the woods that was supposedly abandoned, but it looks like someone has been there recently, due to all the cookies on the table. They find something on the floor that resembles what Anthony saw earlier. It looks like some sort of blue goo or something. I don't really know what it is, but we do see something more later that relates to this. Anyway, they get caught by the director there, and they're made to do some chores in order for breaking some rules. The tension between Naomi and Nathan is seen more in this scene. We also see that Nathan might also be a bit jealous of Anthony. Going back to Naomi's parents, we see that they are worried that the army is going to find out Naomi's true origins. And they considered leaving the town, but decided that doing that will make it look like they're running, and they thought it's better that they don't do that. Going back to Nathan, we find out that he feels excluded from Naomi's life, and he's worried that she will leave him again. Anthony finds out through some blueprints that there is a mysterious room under the cabins, and also admits to her that he knows about Nathan and Naomi, but shows an interest in her regardless. Naomi and her friends watch a video of Belinda in the woods. This Belinda was the ex-employee that I mentioned earlier, and due to watching the video, they want to go investigate some of the stuff they saw, but they instead agree to call the police. But Anthony doesn't seem to agree with this plan, but this isn't the end of it, as you would assume, and we see more on that later. Going back to Naomi's parents, they go into some sort of lab and swap out samples from the stone base with some fakes, in order to protect Naomi. They run into someone while they're there, and they do a really crappy job covering up what they're doing there. Naomi thinks that she should be looking into the cover-up they found out about earlier, but is afraid due to the bounty hunter from the previous episode, and doesn't want to get hurt, and is worried that Dee won't be there to save her. Speaking of Dee, he and Zumbado go to find the bounty hunter and offer him a deal to give up the list of the names. However, he disagrees, and they take it from him forcefully. Naomi goes to investigate the cover-up in an attempt to overcome her fears, and in doing so she runs into Anthony, and the two of them search the cabins. In doing so they find a staircase and decide to head down it. They find some boxes with the name Dillisdale written on them, and inside there are some rocks that glow blue, in addition to some writing that is consistent with the disc and other places we have seen this writing on. When attempting to escape this place, they run into the director, who appears to be an alien, and use the story of Moonshine Jimmy as a cover-up. Naomi uses her powers in order to escape this alien, and after using her powers in front of Naomi, she's quite worried that he knows something, but he claims he doesn't remember much. He might be lying here, but he does a pretty convincing job, so whether he is, it's anybody's guess. Greg and Jennifer again meet with Commander Steele, and they find that the stone base is not alien, but this is a cover-up from Greg and Jennifer, as they swapped out the samples earlier in addition to lying about the writing. As Naomi leaves the campsite, she glances at Anthony and Nathan, possibly inferring that there is a connection between her and Anthony. Zumbado visits Dee to make sure that the bounty hunter is gone, to which he replies he was handed over to Adam Black, who will take him to the Phantom Zone. In the comics, Adam Black is Captain Comet, a superhero with psychic powers in addition to enhanced strength and other powers, and the Phantom Zone is a dimension outside of the space-time continuum. The bounty hunter was apparently sent by someone else that Dee does not have to worry about yet, but it is implied that Zumbado does through the wording they use here. It's also mentioned that Zumbado found another name on this list, and it is Kuala. Kuala was a person that Dee mentioned in the previous episode, and he also said that he loved her. Commander still seems to know that Naomi's parents messed with the evidence and is onto them, and possibly is on his way to knowing about Naomi's true origins. In a conversation with Nathan, Naomi admits why she broke up with him before, and that was because she was afraid of getting hurt. But now she admits that she is more afraid of not trying. So it looks like they end up officially dating at the end of this episode. That is the end of this episode. So all in all, it was a bit of a slower episode than we're used to, but it still tied up some things nicely, and definitely has more room to expand on some of the new stuff introduced here. However, until the next episode, that's all we have. Just before I sign off for this video, I'd like to say that next week my videos might come out a bit later, because the Batman movie comes out, and I'm going to be watching that and then doing a video on that, so my videos might come out a bit later than I normally put them out. Anyways, that is it for this episode, so if you did enjoy, please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more content like this, and if you have any feedback, leave it in the comments below. But until next time, this has been Chris, and I'll be seeing ya.